Welcome to Brevard News, your home for real news in Brevard County. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe our podcast. My name is Kevin Jeffrey, your moderator, and we are joined by our co-host. On one hand, we have Katie Delaney, who is a candidate for the County Commission seat District 1. And on the other side, we have Stale Bailey, who is the publisher, right, of The Advocate's Voice online. And our special guest is Jeff Greenberg, who is the coordinator of Swirl, a stormwater project here in Titusville. Welcome, everyone. Our quote for the week, and we're going to put this first this week, and it's from Samuel Adams, and he says, "It does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men." And that is so true. Man, where's the thinking like that anymore? We don't hear that kind of reasoning anymore, do we? Segment one, we come and we ask the question, are the people of Brevard waking up? I think that you're beginning to see some really good stuff, that I think that the people are waking up. And proof number one, the straw poll that was had yesterday, and you have some information on that, Stale. Just kind of run us down some of the things that jump off at you at the straw poll that took place yesterday.
Well, I'm looking at these results, and one thing that sticks out to me is the U.S. House of Representatives. John, is it Hearton?
Hilton, yeah.
Hearton took the lead in that.
Correct.
Above Herodopoulos. So I think that speaks volumes. I think people are looking at other options outside of the status quo of what they're being told, what's being endorsed.
And they basically it was an anointing, right?
Yeah.
This is your guy, I'm resigning, and this is your guy. And people are rejecting that, it looks like.
Yes, that's exactly what it looks like. So that really stuck out to me. And then there was the County Commission District 1 that stood out to me. There are three people that are very closely tied. You have Robert Jordan, Dan Diesel, and Katie Delaney. The numbers are very close. Jordan took the lead, but Katie Delaney wasn't even present at this.
And what I'm told now, I wasn't there, but that Jordan and Diesel had signs galore all over the place. They think that the money is going to get them elected, right? So they have signs all over the place. Katie doesn't even, she's not even there. She has another obligation. And what happened? How did she finish?
She finished up there. I mean, they're very closely tied. You've got Katie Delaney at 122, Dan Diesel at 126, and Robert Jordan at 139.
Wow. Now, this is a testimony to the people. They believe that the people are still going by the status quo. You get all this money, you get the developers and all these people to donate money to you, you get all the signs, and you're going to win, right? Get the endorsements, you get the sheriff to endorse you, and all these people to endorse you, and they're going to win, right? And it's looked like the people are not going along with the program the way it's supposed to go, right?
No, I think what's really working is that you have candidates that are actually speaking to the people and listening to the people, and people have felt so unheard for so long. And no amount of signs, no amount of donations from Miami are going to help you in this election.
And I don't think that they still haven't gotten it. I noticed that a lot of their signs are on the main thoroughfares, but you don't see them in any of the communities, right? Because the people are rejecting them. They do not want to hear their nonsense. And both of these guys have a track record, and it looks like the people are really waking up to that. So anything else jump out to you? Hurton, actually, again, it's a big one there, because Herodopoulos did not want this to go on, because this does not look good for him. And again, the people are actually going against the establishment in it.
I think that really speaks volumes, the U.S. House of Representatives. I mean, this is somebody that's going to be up in Washington, D.C., representing us on the highest level here in Brevard County that can help us, deal with anything with Department of Defense and federal issues. And so I think we need to be watching that closely. I think that the people in the community need to be speaking. Herodopoulos is the only one out of all of the people running that I have not had an opportunity to speak with. He's not available. He doesn't seem to make himself available. Otherwise...
Well, he's the anointed one. He doesn't have to make himself available.
Yes, and I think that's a problem for the people here in this county.
Yeah. Anything else jump out at you as you look at the various races? It's some interesting information there.
Collector Lisa Cullen, she took the lead at 448. Rita Pritchett only had 39.
You have Rita Pritchett, who is a establishment politician. She's been to the county commission. She wants to live continually on the public dole. She wants to move from there, and now she wants to go to the tax collector's office and earn money there. And the people are seeing through that, right?
Right. And then same with John Tabaya for the supervisor of elections and Tim Bobanek. Tim Bobanek got 412 and John Tabaya got 66.
No one from the county commission should be rewarded with a new position, and I think the people would agree. They seem like they're rejecting that, right?
It does look like they're rejecting it and that they're waking up in this county, and it's so refreshing. And as somebody who's been a lifelong Brevard County resident, it gives me hope.
Yes, it does. And again, remember, it's you, the people, that really make a difference in what happens. You are the government. They are supposed to be your servants. That's the way that this goes according to our Constitution. It's a unique Constitution, unlike any other Constitution in the history of this world. And where the people are the government, and the politicians are supposed to be your servants. That's what they're supposed to be, but this has been inverted, and they see themselves as something much more. Do you have anything else on that?
There's some incumbents that, they took the lead, like Debbie Mayfield, and there's a Robert Brackett for District 34, Matt Susan for School Board District 4. So we definitely need to be following those positions very closely. And honestly, I don't really know the other names that are running, so it'd be really great to have some conversations with them and see what they have to say.
Would love, hey, if there's any politicians that are out there and you would love to come on our podcast, we'd love to have you on to hear, so that the people can hear what you really have to say and to see what you're about. Just call me. I don't have my phone with me, but I'm waiting. Call me, and you can be on, no problem. The next issue is Hog Valley, and we still see this issue with the developers, and so another one cropped up again this week. And so you have the developers, and again, let me say, no one is against, I would probably, you could say, no one is against development, but it's the wrong development where you're going into communities and you're trying to force them to do what you want them to do. You're trying to use the force of the law and your politicians that you have in office to capitulate to your will. And so this came up again this week, and you had the opportunity, Katie, to go out to that area, and there are some really unhappy people.
There are. So on Thursday night, there was a community meeting in Mims, and I decided to go up there because I wanted to hear what their concerns were about this project, and kind of just get the gist of what they were doing, what they were worried about, and basically what it is there's this 17-acre parcel that was zoned for 3 homes, and the current owner wants to change that zoning to allow 30-something homes. And the difficult part about that is that that area is prone to severe flooding.
Mm-hmm.
There's wetlands on this property. The septic tanks for that amount of homes on that lot will be difficult because of the easements that need to happen. So it's not an ideal zoning change for that location. And I understand where these people are coming from, because our zoning laws were put into place because of our infrastructure and because of the way that our flooding gets taken care of and whatnot. And so for this lot to be changed into a different zoning to allow that many more homes is really, it's pretty concerning. And
now they say that they were low density, right?
Right.
And so they're trying to rechange the zoning to allow for something other than this. And this is what the people are unhappy about.
Exactly. So it was zoned for 3 homes, and now they want over 30 homes on that property. And the thing that the residents were talking about was that there are other locations in Mims that are zoned for the use that this landowner is wanting to do. So it's a bit confusing for me why people purchase land that's zoned a certain way when it's not, when it doesn't match what they're intending to do with the land. and especially when there are other options available.
So what are some of the comments that you heard when you were there?
People were really concerned about their homes. I mean, the flooding was a huge concern because there's a massive lake that's back there, and basically, people are just very concerned that their homes are going to flood. And the other concern was traffic. Apparently, getting out of that area is already difficult without this change in density. So, it's this one's going to be a tricky one.
Unfortunately, Jeff, you've seen this happen before, right? In this area. So just as your expertise on this, and just what would your comments be on this issue?
Well, I approach it as a scientist. I've done environmental geology and environmental science for 50 years, and looking at what government is trying to do by ignoring the guidance of science. Science will tell you if you've got problems, things like flooding, foundation support, and then all the other things that are involved in it, quality of life issues and things. And it just, again, I have to admit, I have to have my bias as a scientist who studies these things, but looking that a government can go against their own people, their own citizenship's welfare, and one has to ask, what are the forces that are causing them to push this?
And it seems like it's happening frequently now. It's happening everywhere you look. It's like it's a dike that is springing holes everywhere. Right?
It is, and it's the politics and economics, unfortunately, have overcome the guidance of science and ethics. Mm-hmm. The morality of doing the right thing and the good thing. So yes, I've seen my own neighborhood, we've got the same issues going on. I'm very close to my neighborhood. The same deal. She mentioned wetlands. Wetlands are very precious, important natural features for us that help us regulate water quality. They support wildlife. They replenish our own water supplies. And we're going to have problems with the amount of water, quality and quantity in the future because of what developers are doing and what certain government officials are allowing them to do.
Well, they've been given variances now through the Live Local Act to build on wetlands. Is that not correct?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely, and it's not wise in the first place because of things like flooding, but it also sort of steals away a natural service that serves the community, serves us. It's our natural resources that are being taken from us forcefully because people have authority but without wisdom.
And so they actually are overrunning the will of the people. I mean, so you see people who are they're going to the city council meetings, they're going to the county commission.
That's right.
And it's almost like their pleas are falling on deaf ears still. I mean, you see this, right?
Yes, I do. I go to these council meetings. I'm very civically engaged, and anytime somebody comes forward with a concern regarding wetlands, flooding, even homes being built higher than their homes that are already there and established, which causes flooding into their home, it seems to just glaze over a lot of these officials. It's almost as if they don't care.
Why, Katie? What have you seen? And you've been down there and you've done battle. What is the thing that jumps out to you as to why they're not listening to the people?
Honestly, I really can't answer that because there is no one answer that really makes sense.
Can we say money? I mean, would that be a consideration?
It could be money, it could be power, it could be control, it could be really a number of things. What I do know is that it's unethical. I mean, they're there to serve the people, and I get it that Florida is an awesome place, the Space Coast is an awesome place, and everybody wants to be here. But, what about the people who have lived here? What about the people who have established homes and lives and careers here and families? What about their interests?
Quality of life issues are big. That's a big issue, right, Still? I mean,
yes.
I mean, you don't want to become like some of the big cities like Miami, which is having a big influence in the way that they're influencing some of the elected officials.
Yes. Yes, yeah, Miami. I always say Miami's moving on up. If we continue to vote the same way we're voting, and if you watch what's happening in Miami, sewage backing up into their streets.
They had a huge problem a couple of weeks ago.
Bundling your policies increasing your deductible or fortifying your house. That means impact.
We've just seen catastrophic flooding, and a new report finds sea levels rising faster than ever. How some areas in South Florida could be underwater in just a few decades. Next, it's the threat to life in South Florida as we know it. Sea level rise. We're already seeing signs of it with tidal flooding in neighborhoods and downtown areas, but a new report shows it's happening at a faster rate.
Massive flooding.
Like
Massive.
over their vehicles. People's vehicles were getting flooded as they were driving down the street, and it's just insane. I mean, this is feet of water that the whole community is having to deal with. It's not like it's one street. It's literally the whole town.
Yeah, and it impacts more than just your property values. It impacts your car. A lot of people have lost vehicles because of the flooding happening down there. It impacts travel, so it impacts the economy. People can't get in and out of the airports. I was personally impacted by that because they had a lot of delays. And there's a long list of things that it impacts more than just quality of life.
Jeff, it doesn't have to be this way. You have some simple solutions for this.
Well, simple. They're logical solutions. They're ones that can be done.
Those are the simple ones. They're logical ones, right?
If you use your head and your heart, put the two together, instead of having some sort of selfish motive, which obviously is what we're fighting. Mm-hmm. We're fighting against those with special interests who really aren't thinking about the precious resources of Florida. I grew up south of Miami, starting in the late 50s, and watched the place degrade. And I've heard from many people who've grown up around here and the same thing's happening too. And it's like we need to put the brakes on. We need to wake up. People who love this place have got to realize it's not going to be free. It's like any other justice issue. It's a justice issue for people, for all the other living things that are here. And watching Miami, and part of that, of course, is because of some people don't want to hear this, but the science of climate change. Which I know. I mean, I've studied this stuff, and I know it's real. And they know, believe me, the mayor of Miami Beach knows about it too, because they spent billions of dollars to put in pumps for the king tides that come in to flood Collins Avenue in Miami Beach. Never had that when I was a kid. Things are changing naturally. They're changing because of us, and we are really at a point where we have to start doing the important things, the things for our community. So,
a lot of the problem, though, is that you have people, a lot of the candidates, and I would invite you to go and look at the Secretary of Elections office under the candidates and look at who's getting money from whom, and you really will find out. You'll solve the puzzle yourself as to who's involved in what. Just look at follow the money, as they say, and you'll see what's going on here. Titusville attorney fees. So here we come to Titusville. Boy. And so the attorney fees for the city of Titusville are now at $165,449.80. Thank you, Kristen Lorty, for this information and counting. And you, the citizens of Titusville, are paying for this. Why? Because your Titusville City Council do not have the guts to enact what the citizens voted for, which is a measure that actually protects water in the city of Titusville.
That's right.
What is going on here, Katie?
So, as we've talked about many times, the citizens of Titusville worked really hard and got the Right to Clean Water Amendment onto the ballot.
Over 80%.
Over 82%.
82% of the people.
Voted in favor of it. And the Titusville City Council, they refused to put that in the charter like it was supposed to be. And and not only have they done that, but they've sued the public. I believe it's on round 3. And it's just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, two of my opponents are involved in this. Thankfully, one of them has come to his senses after 2 times suing the citizens.
Decided to run for election.
Right.
They voted for it before they decided to run for election. Back off. Correct.
And it's insane. And the fact that they're wasting, not only are they suing the public and making the public come up with, I think the last I heard was $90,000. This group of citizens has had to pay, but now $165,000 and counting that the city council is using of Titusville's tax dollars to fight against the people.
To thwart the will of the people.
Right.
They are thwarting the will. So let's think about this now. You went out and voted for this measure, and the city council is saying, no, you don't know what you're talking about. You didn't know what you were talking about. You are not smart enough, like they are, to understand all of the issues. So we, the parents, are going to thwart what you have decided to do. Am I wrong?
You are not.
Stale.
You are not. That's exactly how they're treating this situation. We continue to hear excuse after excuse from various different council members who are continuing this saga of suing their own citizens, not upholding the votes of their citizens. I also want to add that they're not just using a local attorney here. The reason why these are so astronomical is because they're using Tallahassee attorneys.
Adding insult to injury, right?
You're right.
You won't even use the local attorney. It's interesting. So what do you do about this? I mean, someone brought up the fact that maybe the citizens should sue the city council because of what they're doing, because they are really impeding on the rights of the citizens. What would you say about that, Katie?
It's really a difficult thing when you talk about citizens suing a government body, because it's wasting more tax dollars. But at the end of the day, one, don't reelect these people. For instance, Sarah Stokel, I mean, she is digging her heels in. People need to look at the other options. I mean, we had Christopher Childs on our podcast a few weeks ago. He would be a great option to look at instead of Sarah Stokel, who is digging her heels in, like I said, and will not stop suing the citizens. We need to stop electing people who don't listen to the will of the people. And that's the biggest thing. As far as the citizens suing the council, I would say that they should keep that in their back pocket. The mechanism is there for a reason, but I don't necessarily think it should be the first reaction.
Just by not voting for them,
Exactly.
term limit them out.
Exactly.
Really, and the citizens always have that option to term limit them out. What do you think, Stell?
Yeah, I think that you have the option to limit them out. The one thing that I am seeing happening this election cycle is people are getting more interested in looking at those candidate reports and looking at their past actions and what they've done instead of what they're saying they're going to do. And there's other options other than just suing your council. You have an option here in Brevard County to recall your council.
Right.
And you have malfeasance, and you have a lot of different reasons as to why you can. And some of this does fall under malfeasance.
Oh, for sure.
I mean, some of the things that they're doing. But I think that the people don't know those options. And as they learn about them, would you think, Jeff, that would be an option?
People keep bringing this up, education, waking people up. And one of the most effective things I've seen, if you look at the actual document, the petition for the right to clean water for the state of Florida that we're hoping will go through by 2026, you read that thing. You've got to read it. It's brilliant. It's a brilliant document. And the key thing you look at is that our resources, our water, is being misused and abused by others. And I'll tell you, the one thing that's going to get people awake is when they know that their stuff is being taken from them. In legal terms, there's an actual legal term called takings. And what we're seeing is when the way that they're dealing with all this stuff, they are taking property away from us by doing what they're doing.
For their own purposes.
For greed. Whatever selfish purposes. Exactly.
Well, they would say it in Scripture, the love of money is the root of all evil. And you certainly can see it in a lot of these situations. And that ends it for this segment. And we'll come back and we're going to talk to Jeff about some more things. But before that, we're going to end on my 2 cents. I wrote a letter to the Florida Today and complained or complimented them for their even-handed reporting of things going on in Brevard County. I concluded my letter to them with this. Our Constitution requires that those who are in office can only rule by the consent of the governed. The city councils of Titusville, Cocoa, and the county commission in both parties, Democrat and Republicans, now rule by fiat. They decide what is going to happen. They're not listening to you. Staff, which is unelected bureaucrats, are making crucial decisions for the people of Brevard, while the elected political class allows it to be so. They have shown no concern for the people of Brevard County at all. In fact, at every turn, they have shown contempt for the people. Well, a new day is dawning in Brevard County. The people have awakened to reclaim the government that constitutionally belongs to the people. The future of this county does not belong to the political class and their special interest, but it belongs to we, the people. And that's my 2 cents. Thank you for joining us on this segment of Brevard News. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. And you have a wonderful week. We're coming back with segment 2 in just a minute.